Hello and welcome to another video on how to learn to code for absolute beginners. Today we're going to learn a new data type. It's called tuples. This is one of the most versatile and useful data types, and they basically exist in every Python program. So let's get into it. Tuples are pronounced tuple, tuple, tuple. That's how I always heard people pronouncing them. Tuples are ordered like lists. You can retrieve the elements by their position. You define them by enclosing parentheses instead of square brackets. For example, here we define a tuple with names, strings, and notice that they enclose in parentheses here. We can retrieve the elements in the same way as we did with a list. For example, the element 0 is going to be the first, names -1 is going to be the last. So in everything else is exactly the same as a list. Tuples are immutable, meaning that as soon as we define them, you can't change the values of its elements like a list. For example, let's try to change the first element of names, and it's going to give us an error. That's because tuples are read-only. So basically everything you already know about lists is true as well for tuples. Like they are ordered, they can contain arbitrary objects, they can be indexed and sliced, they can be nested, but they can't be modified. So why do we need a list that the only difference is that it's immutable, meaning that we can't change the values inside and give it a funny name like tuple? Well, because tuples are faster internally to manipulate. So if you don't need to modify them, they are faster than lists. Your program will run faster when using them compared to lists, and also you can use a tuple as a return value for a function that returns more than one value, and that value you want it to be immutable. For example, you define this function called getCoordinates. It will return you a pair of coordinates. Well, when you return that value, you don't want to modify it. There's no reason for you to be able to modify that value that is returned. You actually want it to be immutable. It's convenient, so you can pass it around and ensure that at least Python is helping you to avoid any mistake of modifying the value. If you really need to modify the value, then copy it to another variable and then modify the variable. If we print the results of these, getCoord, and we run the program, we have here the return of the tuple. So it's a very good way to return more than one value in a function. As I said before, many times you don't want that value to be modified by the consumer of that function, but the one using it. You want to avoid the possibility to modify those values. That's the moment the immutability of the tuple comes in handy and is already enforced for you for free by Python itself. So here you have it. Tuples are very powerful and you will find them in almost every Python program. In the next video, we will talk about our last data type. In this short course to learn how to code for absolute beginners, we will talk about sets. So stay tuned, subscribe, and thank you for watching.